Welcome to Cool Explorations.
Hey, welcome back to Cool Explorations here. Today we're going to be looking at some photo editing basics. I use the program Lightroom. I don't really use Photoshop too much, not because it's not a good program. There's a lot more you can do with Photoshop, but I like to let the photo speak for itself, do the minimum amounts, just touch up here and there to make the colors a little bit more vibrant and picture a little bit more clear. Other than that, the picture should speak for itself. It should be the actual photo. Whereas if you do too much editing, then it becomes not your photo anymore. It becomes the program's photo. So what we have here on this screen is the main Lightroom main page here. So when we look at this picture here, we're going to show some basics as to what we do here. I always start with lowering the noise in there. When you zoom in here, you can see what that has done. It just cleared up all those little fuzzy spots that sometimes appear in the photos. And then I sharpened up a little bit. Sometimes with some pictures, you can't overdo that. Another thing I always do is increase the clarity, which in this case, you can see that was too much without doing some other work on that. So we're just going to set that back. And then until we get to a spot that we really like. Then we're going to make adjustments. Dehazing, what that does is it just brings out the color in there. Sometimes it darkens it a bit much, so you do have to watch for that. And then after edits, it's good to zoom in once in a while and just check to make sure that that edit worked the way you wanted it to. And then you go up there and you can lighten up the black that dehaze caused. You still get the bright color, but yeah, lighten it up so you can actually see it. Some photos, it's good to increase that vibrance. Sometimes it's good to touch up that saturation there and just bring out those colors. You, again, don't want to overdo it or else the colors are going to be way off or way too vibrant, and then it doesn't look real. It looks kind of silly. So once you're happy with the way that it looks, give it one more look over there, and then you go up and you can hit Save To. Now you do have to be careful when you're hitting Save To though. That it's going to the right folder, but that you don't accidentally hit that edit in Photoshop, because otherwise it'll take forever to load up that Photoshop, and it'll try and load all the pictures and everything in there. The next type of photo we're going to try and look at here is going to be some water pictures. Now this especially, you're going to want to reduce the noise in that, because water, because of all the movement, creates so much noise in there. And then clarity is a great thing. I, with water, tend to boost that, especially with these kind of rapids kind of thing. You want to boost that up real high, and then the dehaze just brings out some of the white and the foam and the waves in the water, and then you adjust the black to make it so that it reduce that somewhat. So you see how it went from that fuzzy all the way up to that clear. That's the difference that made. And then you want to boost some of the coloring on there to get the rocks and the waves to be just sticking out and standing out a little bit more. And then again, save to the folder that you've chosen. I like it to all be the same folder. And then we're going to move on to a different type of photo here, another type of waterfall, but just it's got a little bit more greenery in it. So you handle that a little bit differently. Again, don't go overly excessive on the noise reduction, or else you're going to end up with just a flat picture with no details at all. And then hit the dehaze and hit the clarity again. You do have to be careful again not to overdo the dehazing, or else it can come out way too dark and then nobody can see what you're looking at there. Adjust the blackness again to make the light. Then we'll go through and we'll just touch up the color just a little bit. I only ever touch vibrance and saturation. The other ones that they do is they end up getting the tint and the hue. Usually puts it off a little bit too much. The colors don't look right. And then I just move those sliders around until I'm happy with the product I'm seeing. What I'm looking at is mainly the greenery in this case, and making sure that it doesn't become too vibrant. And then make sure that it matches the vibrancy of the water there, and you haven't overdone anything. And then we're going to find a different type of picture here, something with a little bit more of a trick to it. You're going to be looking at some people pictures here. So my daughter's very photogenic. We'll pick a picture of her. We always call her our little model because she likes to have her picture taken. You take people pictures very differently though. You have to be a lot more careful what you are doing there. So first of all, start with noise reduction because skin can cause a lot of noise, a lot of those little fuzzy spots on there. And then in here, we're adjusting the clarity, but we're going to bring that down too much. You don't want to do it too much with people because otherwise what it does is it just darkens the features too much and then it doesn't look realistic again. And then you're going to dehaze it a bit to bring out some of the color in their clothes, but you don't want to do it too much or else you're going to end it being too dark. And then we're going to go up. We're going to find that little coloring there. And the black, we're going to adjust that black a little bit to lighten it up. And then we're going to go down and adjust the colors so that it brings out just the color of her skin, the color of the clothes she's wearing. Now in there though, you don't want it to be too yellow, so you are going to have to really watch that there too. Again, you want to stick with the true skin tone. You're just basically just bringing out the color a little bit in this photo thing here. And that's basically, for people photography, that's what you're looking at doing. And then we're going to move on and we're going to go back in my collection here to something, again, a little bit more intricate in terms of the view you're looking at here. So I took some campfire pictures here, so we're going to adjust some fire. Fire, it's already blurry because there's a lot of movement. So, I mean, there's not too much you can do about that. You can bring out the color. I like the blurriness that goes along with flames. I think it looks really cool. So here we brought out the clarity. The dehazing, we do have to watch how much we do that or else it gets rid of the orange and replaces all that orange with black, which is, well, boring. You want, as you can see, it just did it there. So we're going to lower that back so that it shows those flames again. Just find the right spot, and then we're going to go up to your coloring. We want it vibrant, but we don't want to make it look unrealistic. And then we're just going to, we've got the vibrance and we've got the saturation here. Just adjust the vibrance just a little bit. You can do quite a bit with this one just because it does have the reds and the oranges already in it, which is what vibrance, a lot of that handles those colors. Then adjust the lightness and the darkness. You don't want to get rid of the orange, but you want to find the balance between it. So you got the flames really need to just pop and show up. As you can see the difference along the bottom there between it and the other ones. We'll save that one there. And then we're going to go and we're going to find a different type to take a little edit of. Just let me look through these pictures and find the right one here. We went to a train museum, so we ended up getting some intricate work done on here. Now there's some blur on the bottom, so this wouldn't be one that I'd choose to really have as a keeper. But it is something that it's a good example of what we can do with something that's intricate and got wood grain. So you want, again, to adjust that noise a little bit. But then you look at the clarity. If you overboost it, it just blackens it and it doesn't look very good at all. But if you do somewhat, I think around that 70 mark is usually pretty good for wood grains. They usually bring out just the little details, especially for something like this with that intricacy. And then the dehaze, that just brought out the color of the wood a little bit more, that finish. And then once you've got that, then you can look at adjusting the clarity because then you got a better picture as to what you're working with there, and touch up the colors. Don't want to, again, do too much where it's not going to look very real. It is kind of faded, which is why it looks like it's blurry in the bottom there, just because this piece is from the early 1900s. I'm going to save that. And then we'll move on to a different type here, something that's also kind of intricate. It's our stained glass, which was also from this train. With the stained glass, usually I do expect a fair bit of noise, but I don't want to get rid of too much of that because I want the detailing to show up in there. So quite often when you're looking at the noise, you want to zoom in. get a closer look at what you're looking at here, and then you can figure out where you're going from there. If you get rid of too much detail, then you can set that noise reduction back a little bit. And then we're gonna jump up on there with the clarity. Sorry, my music was too loud there, so I just had to turn that down. So we're just gonna look at the dehazing to bring out the color of that stained glass. I love stained glass. It is so pretty and makes such gorgeous pictures. And then we really want to look at that clarity. You can really kind of play around with that a bit, but if you go too much, you do want to dehaze to adjust that. But the clarity on this one actually is really bringing out how the sun is hitting the outside of that, and then you can dehaze to just make those colors pop a little more. You can really go quite a bit with the vibrancy and a little with the saturation there to try and get those colors to adjust. You can see the different colors on the scales between saturation and vibration, and that just tells you what color tone you're looking at hitting to adjust there. I'm not going to touch up the black, I don't think, too much there. I'm pretty happy with the color. There's the bigger picture of that. We want to adjust that. We'll just leave this small one here for the first example. And then we're going to go into here as well. If you ever make an edit that you don't like, you can just go up to the top there and hit edit, undo, and it's usually the last move you did. You can go back a few. So now we're going to pick out a flower with an insect on it. So it's got some detail in it. You're going to want to really play around with the color, but you're going to want to really watch that color as well, that you're not making it look crazy ridiculous. Because if you do, then it's going to be obvious. So when you zoom in, you can see the detailing on the leaves, because I was focusing on the insect. The detailing on the leaves and the outside, that's where you'd be looking for some of that noise reduction, because that's on the outside, gives you a better feel for it. Then we're going to want to get that clarity up there to clear up the insect, because insects, because their limbs are so thin, they have a tendency to blur, or if they move even a little bit, it really wrecks the picture. So we're going to just play around with that a little bit there. Get that clarity where we want it. Just have to wait. My computer sometimes, when I have too many programs running, gets kind of slow. So you can see that looks stupid because it's too overboosted, but then we're going to take a look at the dehazing, and then that's going to fix some of that up there. But so then once we play around with that, then that won't make that clarity look quite as dumb. It will just really bring out the flowers. It'll bring out that insect. Now we're going to play around with the colors a little bit to make those leaves kind of pop. The flowers, you want their color to shine through as well. And then we want to check to make sure that insect is actually cleared up, which you can see it just cleared up for us. And now you've got a pretty clear and pretty vibrant picture of a hornet on a little flower. Now once you find the settings that you like, what we can do here is it will move on to the next picture, and we'll just take a look at that. From that next picture there, you can feel free to hit copy and paste on what you have looked at there. So once how you do that with this thing here is I'll show you in the keys here. You're gonna hit Control and C is the copy, and then Control and V is for pasting those settings in. So now I've just copied the settings from the other one. We've pasted into this. It saves you some time, because now you've already got what settings you need, just the basic, and then if you need any adjustments from there, you can just do just a little bit of touch up here. So that's my basic tutorial. Hope this helps you guys when you're doing your photo editing using Lightroom. There's lots of programs you can use, but I like Lightroom. It's made by Adobe. They've been around for quite a while. They've got their elements and all that. This one I just have a monthly subscription to. It's not that expensive, $10 a month US. Pretty affordable. Been been really, really helpful for me. Hope this helped. Thanks for tuning in.
Remember to like and subscribe.